Welcome to Multifamily Unpacked. Quick setup before we get into today's episode of The Report. We've always believed if you want to be the world's best, you've got to be willing to compare yourself to the best, and if needed, to find out where you fall short. So in the spirit of the world's teams competing at the highest level in this year's World Cup, we put our AI to the test against the biggest names in the industry. Spoiler alert, Funnel won every single matchup. Let's get into it. In April and May of this year, we hired an independent research firm called Userlytics to run 6 blind head-to-head studies. It included 169 real American renters, none of our customers or anyone who knew what they were testing. We ran tests separately on voice AI and chat AI against 3 major competitors, 2 legacy property management platforms, and a company that bills itself as the AI leader in multifamily. None of the renters participating knew which product was whose, and the order was reversed randomly. So every renter had 30 minutes to do what renters actually do. They were given a broad mandate, so the results would be authentic. Schedule a tour, ask about pet policies, try to interrupt the voice mid-sentence, the voice AI. We gave them general objectives and just let them go. The result was Funnel's AI won every single one of the 6 head-to-head matchups. Today, we're going to dive into what we found and what it means. Tyler, before we jump into the specific numbers, why did we decide to run this study in the first place?
The truth is that deep down, genuine, heartfelt statement, it was not designed to be marketing. First and foremost, our mission as a business is to create the world's best renter experience. That's the promise we make as a brand to our customers. And we recognized any given technology. We've been building AI products since 2020 with Camden, that just because you're the best at one point in time doesn't mean you are. And so we did a big, massive overhaul in 2025. On this podcast, we talked a lot about it, right? We did the acquisition of Leasehawk, which we rebranded to Phoenix. We made a big splash about our partnership with Sierra. And so we really wanted to test ourselves and quantify how do we stack up against the alternative solutions in the market. So much so that one of the other questions we always get is, surely you picked really bad examples. And we actually genuinely didn't. I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but we wanted to go play against the best. Alex, you and I are excited about the summer of the World Cup starting today when we're recording this. And you don't want to play against the worst teams. You want to play against the best teams. And so we literally put the very best examples we could find of our competitors' tools. And so these are marquee brand name companies using our competitors' tools. And we said, go against that. Right? Go against that and see what we find out. And so really to begin, it was a benchmarking test for ourselves designed to give us product feedback. When we went through it, we recognized that, hey, there's a lot of valuable information here we need to share with the market. So that's why we're starting to launch this case study and releasing the information, and really proud that our team and the investments we've made, the partnerships that we've made, the work that we've done are showing the results so that our customers at the end of the day can deliver the best possible AI experience. And to back it up, to put the receipts out there, for those folks that are interested, happy to send out the numbers, in particular, the phone numbers for Funnel, the chatbot for Funnel, so consumers can test it themselves and see if they agree with us.
Let's jump into the numbers. So the data showed Funnel, as I mentioned, we won all 6 head-to-head comparisons. Those were 2 each per major competitor on both voice and chat. Overall, nearly 3 in 4 renters preferred our chat AI, and exactly 2 in 3 preferred our voice AI, so 66%. 81% said Funnel felt more knowledgeable in chat. 67% said the same in voice. In chat, we outperformed competitors by 6 to 27 points on satisfaction and 7 to 52 points on how human the AI felt. Finally, in voice, the gaps were 5 to 10 points in our favor on satisfaction and 4 to 27 on human likeness. Tyler, what struck you most when you saw some of those numbers?
Yeah, let's unpack both of them, right? Because I do think, it's one thing to say, hey, we're better, right? And it's like a steakhouse saying, hey, we have the best steak. And why? What is it in it that actually makes it the best, right? And for those who have ever been to Tampa, Florida, we've got this amazing steakhouse called Burns. They'll take you on a kitchen tour and you see why. It's all the preparation and the way they dry age, rub the steaks, all this stuff, right? So what is in the secret ingredients of the world's best AI? And The questions in there tell the story. So on knowledge, all of us as consumers, the most aggravating thing in the world, whether I'm talking to a human or an AI agent, is that I don't get the answers. I just want to know the pet policy, the school district, the office hours, whatever my question is that I didn't find on your website or that I preferred to find via AI. And knowledge is a really important one because there's a complete misnomer that exists in the world that a lot of our competitors like to say that AI learns. It's just going to know. And when you really ask that question, like literally ChatGPT is not learning when I ask them, what kind of grass is outside of my office today? It learns through these very expensive training runs that Anthropic and OpenAI are doing. It's not learning from me when I say that grass is Bahia grass. I don't know what it is, right? And so it is learning through substantive retraining. In the case of our customers, the knowledge, how do we ensure that the AI agent has the right knowledge? It's by empowering the world's best operators with a knowledge base that is used across their platform, right? So the same answers that I'm putting in to feed the AI agent are also there for my contact center associate. They're there for the sister property associate. So I know that Arbors Green is in the Hillsborough County School District, right? And that knowledge base needs to be reinforced through self-improvement. And by self-improvement, I mean identify that you don't have the answer, flag it for the associate or for the appropriate person to add. But there is we've talked in the past, Alex, about cognitive offloading. And when you think your AI is just going to magically learn the right answers for your communities, you're going to end up with this gap where it doesn't know. So the first, to your point, knowledge is really important and is something that we need to continue to invest in and train and add to the knowledge base. And in particular, put it in the same place that the humans need that knowledge, that therefore it's going to be there. The second, on this human concept, it is an interesting thing that you kind of determine if AI is good by how human it is. In voice in particular, this has been a radical transformation over the last couple of years. We all know that the voice agents of 2023, they were so bad, you just wanted to hit zero, right? What we have seen time and time again with the new voice AI that Funnel delivers to our customers, in particular customers like Camden and BH have talked about these things on earnings calls, is that renters are choosing to stay with the AI because it is so conversational. It is so fluid. And really one of the biggest anecdotes I could point to there is a lot of voice agents, the V1s that we compete against, they just talk over you. And if you try and interrupt them, if somebody's coughing and there's talking in the background, it's really bad, right? It's what we all understand Siri to be today. There was news today, I don't know if you saw that Google is going to be replacing Siri for Apple. They gave up and said, we need help. And so really good AI agents, you can interrupt them. They can discern between your voice and your roommate's voice. And that's where it starts to feel human, is it's got intellect and the ability to understand what you are asking versus what is ambient noise. So super happy that we're seeing certain case studies where up to 80% of calls are fine talking to the AI agent. Always, my personal opinion, you should have a off ramp so that the demographic that doesn't want to talk to AI agents, but that's what it means when it says it's more human, is that it's not speaking over you. It's not giving you a 5-minute answer when you ask for the pet policy. It is far more conversational and demonstrates a degree of EQ that normally we wouldn't associate with AI.
Shorter pauses, gaps, things like that. I think what you're getting at is like, this is in art. There's a little bit of a science behind it, of course, in terms of how the AI is developed, but it is somewhat subjective. So when renters explain their preferences in their own words, we asked that of each of them. 4 consistent things kept coming up. The first was warmth. Competitors were often described as abrupt, formal, and my personal favorite, the audio version of a brochure, somebody said. Second was transparency. Funnel answered questions about fees, breed restrictions, community specifics directly in the conversation, while often in chat, competitors sent renters to links and asked them to go find it elsewhere. Renters noticed that. They didn't like that. Third, the ability to actually listen, what you just mentioned in voice. Renters could interrupt the funnel AI. They could pause, talk to someone in the background, change direction, and Funnel's AI kept up, where competitors' AI voice products really talked over them, paused too long, got confused as to who they were speaking to. That was the single biggest consistent complaint in the voice study. And the fourth was what we call anticipation. So Funnel volunteered relevant details before renters had to ask. It felt like the AI was thinking a little bit ahead, not just responding to them. So we're going to play 2 audio clips now so you can actually hear the difference firsthand. These were actual clips pulled from the survey itself. First, you'll hear from a competitor and then Funnel.
Yes, please. Me about the move-in fees. Here is an overview of some of the
What
moving fees.
exactly
There's
is
the
the
$300
monthly?
security deposit, a
What is
$48
the, excuse me, what is the monthly?
Here's how Funnel handles that same moment.
restrictions apply for dogs. For cats, there is a $300
What is
fee.
the what
and in addition-
is the fees for the cat to be paid monthly?
monthly fee for a cat is $25.
Tyler, 3 of the 4 reasons I mentioned are about how Funnel talks to renters, not just what it knows. Was that a deliberate design choice on our end, or did it come from building specifically for multifamily and the journeys that renters go through?
It's a very specific design choice. Funnel never optimized first and foremost for handle rates. That's something that you hear people talking a lot more about now, or often called containment rates, which again, I referenced earlier. How often is the human trying to escape? And you can get 100% containment rate if you don't give them an option to speak to a human. So it's not really the right arbiter of how good it is at first. However, now as we're seeing that by building the workflows, answering questions, scheduling tours, making a payment, these sort of actual workflows that live underneath the knowledge is what renters are trying to communicate with you about. And then you layer onto that this extreme level of conversationality, whether that's in text or in voice, and you start to have genuinely pleasant experiences. Where we do think this is going to go, that you talk about choice, is over time. One of the other reasons we did this case study, we paid for this test, which was genuinely a pretty large investment, was to prove a thesis that we have. We believe that over time, although today we're the best in class, that everybody is going to get really good at conversationality. And the bar of what a best in class experience is going to go from how well can it talk in the pauses. We think that our AI is the best today. We think that 3 to 4 years from now, most folks will have voice agents that can speak in 37 languages and recognize a cough. That probably is not going to be the differentiator on Funnel's AI in 3 to 5 years. What will be, however, is the configurability of where does the human get involved. And that is up to every operator to make that determination, right? We're not trying to force everyone into a world of autonomous buildings. And then second, really, what are the workflows that can be done? And that's where choice and taste and depth of product ability is really important. So yeah, it's fun to see that consumers are getting more comfortable with this. And it just opens up more and more doors for us to think about what else could we do with an AI agent as the front door, and what avenues does that open up for consumers and for operators.
So we went through every one of these 169 renters that we spoke with. A few quotes that really stuck with me, I want to read quickly. One said, I prefer Funnel because she sounded more personal. I felt like I was talking to somebody on the phone, almost even like a friend. Another said, Funnel definitely understood the cues, understood the way I was talking, my pauses. That was much better than the first AI voice experience. Another said, I prefer Funnel for the transparency on fees. Gave me those fees up front, told me exactly what breeds were welcome, dog breeds. And finally, they could predict what questions I was going to ask next. Seemed very intuitive and thorough. Our closest competitor in voice said, it continues talking while you interrupt, obviously not human-like. So we're hearing words like friend, personal, and intuitive to describe our software. What does it mean to you that we're earning that kind of language? And why does it matter so much in multifamily specifically?
One of the words that our partners often focus on is trust. And again, the more that consumers choose to use the workflows available to them and highlight the value that they perceive that they're receiving from that, it's trust. And that is our job as a technology provider, is to deliver tools that our clients can really differentiate their service level, because we all know at the end of the day, we're selling homes, right? It's spaces for people to live in, not widgets. And so I think that trust and that sort of warmth that renters are communicating back to us is really important. So I'm excited, Alex, that this really validates the path we're on is the right one, but it makes me really excited and anxious to start working on additional workflows, right? Today, for instance, we know there are tens of thousands of communications happening about mid-lease changes. And it's not something that we're solving for yet. It's something that we are deploying here at Funnel. But at scale, we think customers have hundreds of thousands, millions of conversations that are yet to be solved. And the vast majority of those today are not answered by a human. They're answered by a voicemail or an email 2 days later. And so I think the ability to embed AI into every single workflow in multifamily and enhance the human experience, both for the renter and for the associate, has really been validated in this study.
Last one, Tyler. What did we learn about our own product from this that we didn't know? And what should listeners take away?
Yeah, I think that the takeaway for me is that you have to be ahead of the curve on technology transitions. And these results are not a indication of work we've done in the last 2 months. This is really work that we've been doing for the last 5 years, right? We speak multifamily. The knowledge banks that we've created inside of our system, the workflows that we've created are years in the making. But we had to be willing kind of midstream to say we can do better. Right. And so we really made a huge investment in 2025, as I discussed, to lean into different partnerships and bring this technology to a wider audience, and really happy that's paying out. Similarly, though, we have to be making bets and investments as operators and technologists today, looking ahead into the future. And that is going to be agentic workflows. It's going to be how you connect multiple systems to still complete a task, something that people call orchestration. So AI agents are not done. We're going to get into an era of deployment across hundreds of thousands and millions of units over the next couple of years. But as a technologist, seeing the fruits of investments you made in the past show up is encouraging, and it makes you want to do it again. So we're making big bets again here at Funnel about where AI goes. It goes into workflows, it goes into orchestration, it goes into things that really aren't being done today. But for those listening that are still thinking that their AI agents could be better, I think it's really encouraging to know that, yeah, we've turned a corner on okay to great, and very proud that the Funnel team has helped deliver those great experiences.
Thank you, Tyler. And as he mentioned, if anyone's interested in digging more into the numbers, hearing some of the clips specifically from the actual users that went through it, we'd be happy to provide those. More on the methodology if you're interested. Reach out to myself, Tyler, anybody on the Funnel sales team, and we will share those with you.